Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth with Scott Limrell. Hello.
Hi, Perry, and with pbince. Takes two to make a show. Well, actually, I could just get on video and put it on YouTube, but that's no fun.
Mhm.
Got to mix it up a little bit and then do it for the sake of everyone else, not just
Yeah.
ourselves. I
Wish
don't,
everybody a Happy New Year.
I guess I should have to say that if it weren't for many beings from other worlds and other realities, other dimensions right now, who have decided to make some inroads into Earth consciousness changing, the people on Earth would have destroyed themselves by now, quite quickly after World War II. So it's been tough and hard for many people on Earth because governments don't really work together like they should. Religions don't either. And you've got all these governments all over the world, none of which work collectively for the good of all life in harmony. And that is, in the end, destructive. No civilization on any world that I've visited or that I know of survived being like Earth people are right now, unless races more evolved to have been through this and left a lot of the negative stuff behind. They figured out how to do it, unless they helped in some way or decided to at the last second. Because if they didn't, and in the past they didn't, worlds were destroyed, whole planets blown up, all kinds of things in galactic history. So it really doesn't benefit the more advanced human and other life in the galaxy and in other galaxies and in other dimensions if they just stand aside and let civilizations go up in smoke. But eventually it comes back to bite them in the backside down through time and space, because all beings are connected. In the entire multidimensional creation, we're all connected. We're telepathic beings as Atmas. I'm not talking about brains and bodies, but the being running the brain and body is telepathic, which means we are in direct communication with the one power behind all life at all times. Only most people on Earth no longer know it, and they're afraid of it. They fear it. They fear what they call the Supreme Being. They're afraid to really go there because they think maybe they'll be judged and found lacking and then be sent to hell or someplace to pay a price. And this is the brainwashing of tyrant kings on Earth, which has become the governments we have today, that have gotten control of religions, and religious leaders are more about themselves than helping their followers for the most part. This is true. It's about money. It's about power, money, getting donations to keep the status quo going. The status quo, as it is, would annihilate all life on this planet. There's no question about that. The only reason we're alive now is because of beings from other worlds that people on Earth don't even yet know exist, that have intervened here, keeping secret, keeping stealthy, coming and going without making direct contact for the most part, heading off a nuclear war. They've done that many times here. They're not responsible to save all the silly people on Earth from their own negative fears, destructive natures. People on Earth are going to have to get a higher level of energy coming into the atmosphere of Earth in order to snap them out of the habitual fears they dwell in all day long. Those fears stimulate their imagination to think of negative things, and so their lives become surrounded by conflict and war and religious hypocrisy and prejudice and racial prejudice and differences, and they get caught up in this, live their whole lives around it. Short lives, I might add. 100 years is nothing to beings that live in other worlds for several thousand or more. Earth people are not normal, not even genetically. because, as you know, there's over 1 billion genomes on the twin-stranded DNA that make up human genomes or DNA in human bodies on Earth. And each one of them is a precise switch. Determines your hair color, your eyes, shape of your face, all that stuff. When you die, how you die, whether your time clock is set at 87 years and 2 days, or 120 years, or 10 years, and you die. These things are set up in the genomes. So in a normal world, the genomes, all billion, are turned on. There's no cancer. There's none of these out of proportion things. When you have certain genomes turned off, deliberately manipulated in galactic history, that resulted in the people that are on Earth today being here one way or another with no memory, then eventually those genomes that are turned off affect other genomes. People live shorter lives. They're frustrated, generally in fear. What I introduce about the hue, which is the first half of the word human, and is not originated on this planet. The English language, none of the languages here originated here. They're indicative of languages that exist in other worlds, where whole planetary systems are all Asian of one kind, or all African American, or all Caucasian, or all Semitic, or tribal, or Aboriginal. These are beings that were brought here, often as slaves in small sections of Earth where they were allowed to do experimentation, but never control the whole planet. So you don't have any history here of an alien race running this world. And no alien race has been allowed to do that. It's under treaty. It's not a treaty designed on Earth. It's a treaty that was set up out in space in our galaxy regarding Earth, set up a long time ago. In some ways, it's protected Earth from being taken over and people killed by ruthless races from the stars. There are a few. But it's kept any one race from owning or running this planet. And it's also been a problem for Earth because it's held Earth people back from evolving. I mean, literally has. You throw a bunch of people together, human and humanoid, different races that are represented on Earth, and you bring them here from all over the galaxy and throw them together with no memory, with their own religious way of worshiping the supreme being and source of life, and throw it all together with little or no memory, and they're at each other's throats. Because the only thing they know is what they knew when they were on their own worlds, which was fine for those worlds. Their understanding of the omnipresent living energy, or the one power, the hue that we call toroidal or 0-point energy that's out in space between all things, is a living energy, and it's not a void. There's no such thing as a void in space. Even scientists today on Earth are beginning to realize there's no such thing. There is some kind of energy that fills all that darkness in space between galaxies that float in it, worlds that float and spin around galaxies. Galaxies turn on their axis and they float in this other energy. And that other energy is conscious, and it's one power connecting everything together through multiple dimensions. The more advanced races out among the stars understand this. They're able to communicate with and work with this one energy, which is not nuclear or atomic and isn't limited. There's no such thing as a limit of speed of light in that energy. It is not an energy of time and space. Time and space float in it. There's a difference. Things that move around on axes create time and space. But the energy that supports that has nothing to do with time and space. So we want to work with that energy if we want to go faster than the speed of light, or go across the galaxy, or travel between dimensions, or leave our bodies as atmas, as spherical energy beings, to gain experience, to gain firsthand experience of life beyond this one little ball. People need that if they're ever going to recover who they are. That's what this work is about.
May I share something very important? While you were talking, I look at you, I listen to you, But this is what you call telepathic, because behind the scene, I see like a movie, what you are telling us, I see things behind happening, exactly everything that you said, but as a movie, it's
That's
incredible.
that is the way to let. I want to make this clear, and I've said it before, but for all the people that would listen to our show, your show really, and people that will tune into the recording of it that aren't, because this is recorded right now, it's not live. You'll put it on your YouTube channel, and then it will be live for whoever finds it and can play it and watch it. The only commercial interruptions they'll get, because the way YouTube works, will be at the front, when a little commercial comes up and says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you can click it off. And then it shouldn't interrupt the rest of it. The reason I don't monetize my own videos or ask that none of this work be monetized is because that is the way YouTube and other companies make their billions. They use little people who create videos to get advertisers that pay them millions in front of everyone. That's how they make their money. So if people understand this, and you're selling popsicle sticks or suckers or gum, they don't care who monetizes you, do all you want. But if you're working in something that requires a concentrated calm, the body being put into the trance state called sleep, and people leaving it and going on these journeys, it cannot be interrupted with commercials, because it takes great concentration to go beyond this earth and explore the universe and wake it up while you're living and running a body on earth. Something has to be done to enlighten the brain and body and personality you grew up with, that people grew up with, because if it doesn't cross their path in some way to help them do that, they remain stuck here with no more memory than they had when they were born. All they've got is the education of a system on earth, maybe a college degree about earth and the limits of the thinking of earth people. And it's not very advanced, and it doesn't do them much good for an entire lifetime, because they don't know why they're here. They don't know where they're going. They don't know where they come from. So their IQ is very limited when it has the potential to be at 10,000 instead of 140. See, because there is no such limits to IQ. Once you get outside of Earth's atmosphere, which is very negative, it's beautiful nature, but all the thoughts and feelings and evil deeds and nasty stuff people have done to each other, to animals in this world since it began, are still recorded in wavelengths, bouncing around the atmosphere of this earth off the ionosphere. Just why a radio wave can hit the ionosphere, go around the curvature of the earth, and you can pick it up in Europe. They're still in the atmosphere. So in reality, to transform a world, you got to clean all that negative stuff that's ever happened out of that atmosphere. It needs to be neutralized. So in other worlds that don't have this negative atmosphere, their energy is very charged. The atmosphere is luminous. Water glows because it's supposed to take a charge from a higher reality and provide that nutrition, that enlightenment for people, to motivate them to take care of species that aren't as evolved, like dogs and cats and horses and pigs and donkeys and zebras and walruses and giraffes and hippopotamus and whales and dolphins and birds and fish. We're supposed to be looking after these creatures and helping them evolve. People on Earth are completely, for the most part, not doing that. I mean, if they take pity on an animal that's homeless and take it in and give it medicine, that's great. They're still killing and eating animals on the side. So the problem continues. People on Earth don't have either the direction, I don't want to use the word spiritual, but the one power that's behind all life, they have little access to it consciously. So it can't really help transform the world unless there's a will from beyond Earth to do it. Despite what the rest of people on Earth think is free will, it isn't. 7 billion people living here who don't even have free will, who don't even know they don't have it. They know there's something wrong, they know they don't remember. Something's not right. So for people to make a decision to not blow up their world and change it, they have to have free will restored. And you cannot have free will with fear mixed with it. The two do not mix at all. So something has to be done to neutralize subconscious fear. And subconscious fear of the unknown, subconscious fear of making the same mistakes in another life on another planet where you got blown up. You bring that subconscious fear here and it reacts off everything on Earth. And people are afraid to remember things that would enlighten them if they could go back and remember what happened to them in a safe environment, in a safe way, so that that terror, that trauma they brought to Earth that makes them forget everything could be looked at objectively and just put away as a memory instead of as a subconscious trauma. See, because it's subconscious means that it's below their level of awareness. And it influences and affects how people decide things on Earth. Most people, unfortunately, are making decisions daily based on fear of something. Government leaders are the same. Religious leaders are the same. The mass of people are the same. They don't have a way of saving themselves from the direction they're heading on their own. We are going to require the kind assistance of vast numbers of beings from other world systems, because what people call disclosure is officially underway from the Pentagon, even the United States, the most classified arena. They have been informed from other world races that we have to disclose fully to people here, and they're given a certain period of time to do it. If they do not do it in that time period, it'll be done for them. That means a more direct confrontation of wondrous beings from other worlds all over this planet. And that'll freak a lot of people out. Probably some governments have tried to throw weapons at them and attack them. They'd just be neutralized. They wouldn't work. But it would be traumatic for people. It can be done that way, but it's not the healthiest way for people to change. They have to at least be awake enough to want to change, to want to remember who they are, why they exist, how they got to be on Earth, running a body with no memory. Duh. That's the worst problem people have, is they can't remember how they got here. So they make up stuff. It's God's will. He just put me here and said, I'm not going to let you remember anything. You're going to be dumber than a brick, but now I want you to get everything right while you're dumber than a brick. It doesn't work. You can't do things right that way. So we have this thing called grace, meaning some spiritual master, some masterful being out in the universe takes pity or kindness on some of us if they think we have the potential, if we're given a certain amount of freedom and recovered, that we'll keep it and not screw it up again. So they monitor people. This means the Galactic Alliance personnel. The Galactic Alliance is not a federation. Never was, never will be. That whole idea came from Gene Roddenberry in Star Trek on Earth. There's no federation out among the stars. None that I've ever found. So when someone calls the central organization of world systems stationed on a planet near the galactic core of the Milky Way galaxy, and they call it the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds, that's exactly what it is. An alliance of free worlds, and the beings that live on them, they're not all human. And they work together in harmony. More than almost 500 million spacefaring races. Here's the thing about creation that people don't understand on Earth yet. That includes reverse engineer, classified scientists, anti-gravitic technology they're trying to reverse here, and all that stuff. They don't understand how the universe is built. In the physical universe, where you see all these stars and galaxies in space through the Hubble telescope or radio telescopes or other advanced astronomical instruments that are put in space, they can see billions of light years away and see billions of galaxies extending in every direction. And they can photograph these now. And these are billions of stars in each one. That's just a staggering, mind-boggling amount of planetary life and worlds and systems in the physical universe, like where Venus and Mars and Earth and Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto and Uranus and Neptune are these worlds that circle this one sun. There's 144 levels of that. It's just staggering. Each level has a different molecular time rate that separates the two. If you have the technology, you can even move craft between them. You go up to this one, and you can have trade and world systems in all those levels, moving between each other. That's how big it is. That's not even astral. That's not even the next division yet. So the universe is multidimensional and characteristic in nature. It is on many, many levels. It goes up to what some groups on Earth, esoteric or religious, call the void. And then it goes into higher levels beyond that. The void is not the realm of the Supreme Being, as some groups are taught. It is not. It is a barrier of pure energy, of the hue, between the upper realities and the worlds below it that are made of a dual energy that splits off from one energy and creates poles, positive and negative, to create worlds spinning around suns and suns spinning around the central galaxy, etc. So all these things are supported by an energy that is not nuclear or atomic. It's not molecular. It isn't DNA. It is energy, but it's a much finer energy before matter is, before time and space is, behind and supporting it. The more advanced races have understood how to technologically develop their craft and technologies to work with that one energy, channel that one energy through their physical craft, that makes them be able to do things that otherwise would be limited by laws of physics, which do not apply to the zero-point or toroidal energy. That's what they call it on Earth, the most advanced scientists, antigravitic technology. The energy between energy, the energy behind energy. In quantum physics, on Earth, as it's called, string theory is involved in that or not, but there are multiple dimensions they can prove exist mathematically. They know they're there, even on Earth. They don't know how to access them. They don't know the doorways to get to them. They don't have the technology. They don't know how to fly from here, clear across the galaxy, and find a world system full of people. There are doorways they have to go through. Otherwise, they're going to be traveling at the speed of light forever just to get to the next star system. The speed of light is not limited to what physical human eyes detect as the speed of light. That's only the limitations of the consciousness of people using physical eyes to determine it. It has no such limit. When people on Earth find out there's no limits to the speed of light, they go into the hue, they go into the energy behind it, they go into the toroidal energy, the zero-point energy, and then they start to experience freedom of consciousness, because the energy that makes up a single individual being, Atma or soul, that runs a brain and body, that is not one of these, is made of this same energy. It's the same energy as the very source behind all life, what people call the Supreme Being. Identical, individualized, part of a great whole. And there's a center to that whole. And it's many dimensions above the void, not in the void. So when a person, an individual, begins to recover what they've been made to forget deliberately before they were put here, they begin to re-experience what they once knew. And the confidence and certainty of that knowing begins to return to them. They don't work with faith or belief or speculation or theory anymore. They put that aside because that's negative. If you have faith in something, it's still negative. There's the opposite of that faith. You have to go into direct knowing experience as a being, as a soul, as an Atma, to recover true free will. Fear cannot be involved. Right? So what we do in these journeys, and why for my part I guide these journeys, is to assist people to begin to remember what it's like to live without fear. What is that like? What do they know when fear is turned off? They get the discipline to be able to shut it down. They put their imagination into the negative of the future around them and setting it up. They stop it. They put it aside. So that their imagination is contributing towards that which is uplifting and beneficial to themselves and to all life. When we do that, when we're able to do that, what we are begins to return to us. Why we exist begins to return to us. What our purpose for existing begins to return to us. Our childlike wonder of creation and our passionate dedication to create things which benefit all life expand in our being. So I want to share that with people because each time we do this, it's done in a slightly different way. And it is the way the one power, the living energy behind all creation, works through us. It is the one genius, the one intelligence. And it will come through us in ways that are astounding beyond our own capability. If we learn to work with it in harmony, we have access to the genius of the entire center of the entire creation, right here on Earth. That can accomplish anything. Still, no matter what you can do on your own as an enlightened being, to get other beings like on Earth to change this place, somehow the rest of humanity and the large numbers on this planet have to have something cross their path sooner or later that will stimulate the recovery of them knowing who they are, what they've been made to forget. That's the beginning. The hue sets up an energy field when it opens a door in the pineal gland, the center of the brain. It's a very guarded secret what the pineal gland is in the center of the brain, how it works. Tyrants don't want people knowing how this works. It is a doorway that opens. There's a round whole tone. It vibrates the head upward, nothing down, head upward and out, expanding upward. As in the things I always send to people when I sign an email, onward and upward. Never onward and outward, onward and downward, onward and upward in a spiral. So this is the way we return to the source behind all life, because we came from there. Every one of us came from there. Now think about this for a moment. We are spherically shaped energy beings. We're not a body. This is not what was created in the image of the source behind all life. A woman in a man's body is not in the image of God. That's wrong. These are genetic entities that have been developed for the Atma, the spherical being we are, that's part of the source behind all life itself, to run higher faculties through it, to gain experience on different planes, and to come up with new insights that we can take back to the source and share with it to help make this better, the whole creation. Every Atma is made of an energy, toroidal or 0-point energy. It is not nuclear, it cannot be destroyed. It isn't vulnerable to weapons or space and time or nuclear explosions from the sun or radiation or any of that. And it has existed and is in existence from the source since before the worlds of time and space were even built. Which means people as dumbed down on Earth as they really are like gods clothed in rags. They are part of the source, but they no longer know it. Their imagination is what the spherical being running a body, usually from above it or behind it, uses to see into the toroidal energy, the 0-point energy, divine spirit, whatever you want to call it. And it connects into it. It is not an energy of time and space. So you can connect into that energy and see anything or be anywhere in the entire multidimensional creation, to learn and grow, to become enlightened, to become a co-creator with the source behind all life, which is the actual purpose of our existence. We all come from the source. Bodies are temporary things we take on that were never meant to be traps for the Atma. They were never meant to be something that we somehow got deluded into believing that we are a body that consumes food and excretes and then gets old and dies and all of that. That's not what we are. It's not what we've ever been. There are human bodies in other worlds that have more than 2 strands of DNA. Some have 4. A few have 8. what the Atma, the being, the soul can do through a body like that that's human, even in the physical universe, is quite beyond what people can do on Earth. So this means that people on Earth have the potential to have their DNA greatly improved so that two things can happen. Fear can be neutralized permanently, a subconscious drive, and replaced with a wisdom that comes from the primary energy behind all life, so that they have that wisdom and guidance to help them be a true, proper co-creator with the source and not fall into the unconscious amnesia they're living on as they are on Earth today. So when master teachers and beings work with people on Earth in this way, they intend to put their effort into those people who will be benefited by it, will keep it, and not lose it again. This is the way they are. Any questions, Perry, for your people?
I got a new experience by listening to you today, Scott, and you are amazing, I could say. And from day one, when we start doing the radio show, you often say use the right imagination. So going on many journeys that help. I would recommend everybody, to go on the journey like once a week if you can. Twice will be better, and read your books.
The books, and I'm glad you brought it up because I have 4 published books, took my entire lifetime. I never get into the details of what I went through to get to where I am now with this, just now, right where it is right now. Because people wouldn't believe it. They don't need to know it because it doesn't benefit them. It's not their experience. But I know that most people on Earth would never have survived it. And I had to. I was put on this earth without my permission and stuffed in a body. And the body I had was killed. And I was put here like a political prisoner without the Galactic Alliance really knowing where I was. I had to work through this lifetime in order to recover what was suppressed in me by subconscious terrorizing programs that were implanted in the energy field around me, not under the skin, not electronic chips. It's much more serious than that. And I had to work through enough of them and had to work very diligently, not only to write the books, but to publish them and promote them. Because although they're published in 2 categories, nonfiction, UFOs, body, mind, spirit, nonfiction, and fiction, action, adventure, because the golden thread that's why it weaves through the stories of the hidden truth revealed in these books had to be woven together over huge periods of time through many beings in order to make the books a channel for the hue to help people recover what they've been made to forget. That's why there's a special technique section at the back of the Sayre's Agenda book. This is why we're endeavoring to get it published in Thai. That's why people are donating in Thailand to get this done. It is very expensive even to do it at a top-rated company in Thailand, probably half as much as in the States, maybe $15,000 in Thailand. 24 in the States, but you get the best editors on Earth. And the oldest company, 35 years old. And it's never been cheap to get a book translated into another language, to do it good. And we want to do it good for the benefit of people. It's not just about getting a book in Thai. That's the first project. Yes, Thai people deserve that. They're donating to it, but they're also donating to something larger. They're donating to as more money comes in, I will get them published in Japanese, because Japanese is a huge market for this kind of thing. They'll go nuts over it, but they have to read it in Japanese. And Spanish, because there's over 1 billion Spanish-speaking people, mostly in South America, on this planet. So those are huge markets. And there are a number of feature film projects developed and written based on the books. One called Parallel Time, the short movie. It's a 15-minute long short feature film. I have a full orchestra score. Etta will be in it. Caleb's spaceship, a parallel dimension on Earth, where I take people sometimes, is in it. And then it's introduced in this 15 minutes with one actor on a special beach, Matador Beach in Malibu, California. One actor. Box washes ashore. It's got 3 sapphires in the top of it. And he can't figure out how to open it. And he eventually pushes all 3 and it opens up and it transports him to a parallel dimension. So elements that are in the parallel time trilogy books are revealed in a short movie before the feature films are made. It's never been done this way before. It can be done because I've written it. So there is another project that will come after that called Who's Dreaming Me Anyway, with a question mark. It's a light comedy. It was designed for Jim Carrey to star in one day. Maybe he won't do it. Maybe it won't be available. But someone will. And it is a feature film. It has, you just have to understand what it is, why I would do it. And after that would be the Sayers Agenda and the Parallel Time Trilogy feature films. So this is something that's been part of this work since I came to this planet. It's all planned out. It's all written already. So there's more to it in what Thai people are contributing to than they know. They're
Now,
see?
yes, now you have donation button on your website. People who can support, can donate your works. That to be part of changing the planet Earth. It's the time, and I can't say guarantee, but me, I have so many experience. I could recall a lot more about myself, who I am, any past lifetime too. And not only me, people in Thailand, because I've been working with Scott for a long time and have my own radio show in Thai. Many Thai people now, they more and more recalling who they are. They got so many experiences. And now I think it's time for the whole planet Earth, Scott, to shift and change to the one direction. So anyone would like to support, like to be part of this co-creation, the change, please go to Scott's website, paralleltime.com, and just click the donate button, right, Scott?
Yeah, the Thai people are showing me that they want this book done in Thai. It's not inexpensive. It's expensive to do. The Harry Potter books were published in most languages on earth. It would cost millions and millions of dollars to do that. If people don't understand, they were making billions, so millions wasn't such a hard thing for them to spend. Because you sell 450 million books because they're selling in all these other languages. That's why she's a billionaire. The books have to be, the purpose for work has to reach enough massive people to financially support doing things like movies and feature films and other books and graphic novels and child's books and all kinds of stuff that can be brought out for people in major bookstore chains like Barnes and Noble in the United States. Get a great big cardboard thing and you have books in it. You have a DVD of the short movie and a little Etta doll that tails glows. You pull a string and it talks to you in Etta's voice. To do that, you have to hire an actor like Andy Serkis did for Gollum. You have to have someone that will be the same person that will be in the feature films, but you have to put it in a short feature film before the feature films are even funded. No one's done this way before. So if it's done right, and it's all been designed, then one thing progresses after another. These projects are commercially bridged to be entertaining, like Avatar or anything else, except there is an element running through them that isn't in any other feature films anywhere, in books or on the earth yet. And it is an off-world energy. And it has a focus to help transform this planet. So they've been designed this way.
Yes.
The feature film business potential of transforming life on a planetary scale is much greater than people know in the feature film business, even than the people in it themselves know right now. Because it involves light, visual, sound, music, and what you weave into that sound has a way of opening doors. It just does. If you know that, you can incorporate it into your work. The rest takes care of itself.
Yes, and people can donate, can donate small amount or big amount. And because here, I work here, sometimes, it happens. Sometimes the one you love suddenly just part away, just gone. This is, I think, a good opportunity. You can do something to benefit our lives on planet Earth, because once you leave this body, you cannot take anything here on Earth. Just remember, tell yourself what you can do for others on Earth. This is a great opportunity.
A normal human being who is awake and aware of what the body is they're running, they don't believe they're a body, they're not stuck in that idea, and they can get out and out of their body. Here's the thing. Everybody on earth that's a human being, from the most diabolical evil person to the most wondrous person, gets in and out of their body every night when they put it to sleep. They're terrorized, for the most part, subconsciously, from bringing back awareness of where they go when they leave the body behind on automatic. Deep sleep means no one's home. A being, the Atma running it, which is pure source energy, the Hu, first half of the word human, same thing that beings are, same energy as the source itself, can run a body and put it on automatic and be millions of light years away, and it breathes and it's normal and it's protected and it stays fine. You wake it up in the morning, you come back. Sometimes people have vivid dreams. They're actually in another reality and suddenly brought back to the body, and they bring back the awareness of it. But they don't have any training on earth growing up to know where it was they were and what they were doing. They're there experiencing it. So when a person begins to recover how these different levels work, they begin to realize they're running a physical body like this on a number of levels simultaneously as one being. And they're responsible for those forms and how they affect life on earth. Whether it's an etheric form, a mental form, or a causal form, or astral emotional form, or physical earth. You get up to the etheric plane, there is a barrier between the lower worlds of time and space. That's all the matter that floats and circulates and creates gravitational fields in another energy that supports it. But that same energy in a purer form is above that void and into the upper realities beyond it. And every one of us came from there originally. We didn't originate. This is not who we are. We've never been a body. We never will be a body. We run them. There's a huge difference in life when we become aware that we're something running a body and we are not a body or a brain, because imagination does not get created in the gray brain cells in between your ears. It has no ability to imagine. There's no camera in your brain that can project a visual image of something on another part of the brain so you can see it. They're ignorant completely about this. The imagination, when a person is sitting in a classroom, looking out of the window at a parking lot, and they're bored with the teacher or something, and they're dreaming about being on the ski trip, their eyes are open, and they're daydreaming and drifting off, and they think they're on another planet or they're in the ancient past. That's daydreaming. Everybody does it, but they don't realize what they're doing. They're actually looking into the multiverse, into other realities in time and space or beyond time and space, and they're actually seeing it. But they haven't had the training to know to bring it back to benefit them here. So it's just whimsical fantasy. They think it's made up in their brain. It isn't.
And one more thing, Scott, is amazing because people in Thailand who I work with, many people, they have their own fears, like someone fears of knives, someone fears of needles with no reasons. But because when they start really working with your work, Scott, now they have come to remember the reason, the source of the problem, which means that they go back to the, I don't know, when the time when they did something together with somebody else. So now once they become to realize that, they stop the fears. It's like when you said we end the karma. We don't keep continuing doing bad things with this person anymore. It's very helpful and happier life. Scott.
Well, as you know, on Earth, 7 billion people are running around, governments and religions and all the people collectively basically suffering from subconscious fear of the unknown. It was known to them at one time, but now they're afraid of it. It's unknown. Whether it's life on other worlds, whether they live beyond this one body, what they die, do they survive? They think about all these things. But in reality, everybody that's on this earth, every race that's represented here, did not evolve on this planet. No human being of any sort ever evolved here. Most animals and plant species here were brought here. It's a complete vanity and arrogance and egotistical, self-centered nonsense for people to think life evolved on this one world out of trillions, in trillions of galaxies. Like this ego-centered thing that everything had to evolve here. It's stupid. It's done. They make it up because they have no answers outside the atmosphere of this earth. They don't know. They don't know how to connect into it and know things for themselves. And yet people leave their body every night and they still don't know. Now, once a person starts to become aware that they can know, the beginning of that transformation begins. And the hue takes over their life. It begins to know who they are. It begins to guide them back to the source so they can fulfill their purpose to be a co-creator with the source behind all life itself, which is our destiny. You don't make that up in your brain in one lifetime. The brilliance and genius of a being is not in the brain. How much do you learn in a university, in a school on planet Earth about anything? Not much. They don't even allow people to provide a cure for any disease on this planet. You get your license taken away if you even mention the word cure. That's how backward this place is. And yet cures for all things exist somewhere in the universe. And they would be here on this planet right now if people weren't so terrified of everything. They're living collectively in an atmosphere that shares all the diabolical things that were ever done to each other, still recorded bouncing in wavelengths, energy frequencies measurable on an oscilloscope in the atmosphere of the planet, bouncing off the ionosphere like radio waves. It stays in this atmosphere. It does not leave. So when we get outside of that atmosphere and go on these journeys, we are outside of that influence. And we begin to breathe and look around and remember. This is why we start our journeys outside the atmosphere of planet Earth. There is a purpose and a reason for this.
And you are not working alone. There are like master beings, many master beings galactic are supporting, working with you behind the scene. Yeah.
I'm working with them.
Yep.
It's cooperative. It's usually what we do in a guided journey, since this is for the public, this radio show. I've never charged money for what I do on this radio show. That may change in the future. Not sure quite how to do that yet, but there'll be a way. I do private journeys. Perry knows about this, private group journeys for about 8 to 10 people once a week on a Wednesday. And they are private. They are never put on YouTube. They aren't on the internet. They're not on Facebook. Nobody knows they're taking place because they're not public. There's never been any money involved in that. So I've had to carry the weight of all finance to make these books get published and get them to where they are now on my own. I've had some help from people that have donated wonderfully for periods of time that have helped a lot. But that was just the beginning steps of what's about to happen. Because there is no limits of finance on this planet. There are trillions of dollars in computers, digits in a computer. And anyone with wealth can be diverting a small part of that, several $billion in the right direction for their own benefit to help them wake up so they don't get trapped by the wealth they've amassed. They don't get caught in the vanity of something they can't take with them anyway, and they know it. So it's a trap for them. Unless that energy is used to benefit all life with the supervision and help of beings who aren't from here, who haven't been born here, who haven't grown up with subconscious fear, who don't have subconscious minds. These are the kinds of people that help to be what we call master teachers, to help people recover. They're mostly not on Earth. Why would they want to reside in a place as nuttily backwards as people on Earth are? I mean, backwards in almost every way compared to many other world systems. So disclosure is underway, officially approved by the Pentagon in the United States, because it has to be. They don't have a choice in this matter anymore because they aren't using free will properly. Beings who have free will are making it for them, for their own survival. So disclosure is cautiously as they are in getting it out, they're beginning to do it. They're beginning to disclose the fact they know extraterrestrial craft are coming here. Project Blue Book was about that. Jay Hynek's work and what he really experienced. It was classified. He couldn't tell people what he was really experiencing. He was hired by the Air Force in the 50s to debunk UFOs, to put a spin on them. It's swamp gas, or it's a reflection from the moon. They wanted to calm people down. That's why they did it that way. And some people abused power doing this for their own selfish ends, which is always destructive. So disclosure cannot be trusted to people of Earth because they won't do it. They have to be, I don't want to say their feet brought close to the fires of hell to motivate them to run away from that heat in the right direction. But in a way, in a kind way, it means they have to be shown the result of their actions. The end result will end all life. And they have to be shown that they're harming themselves on this earth will harm beings in many other dimensions they don't know exist, even other earths in higher frequency. The doorways between these can filter through negativity. So those are guarded. And beings from other races are not going to tolerate Earth people going out in space and playing with their little ego trips about China versus Russia and the United States garbage. Because none of that kind of stupid behavior exists out there. None of it. And space out there is already occupied. Sorry, people of Earth, it's already owned. So you can't go out there and play those trips, battling with each other for spoils of outer space. They know they're going to run into a brick wall with that because there are races out there that won't tolerate Earth people doing that. And they're not going to tolerate it. So Earth, the solar system we live in, is quarantined, the entire solar system, in an energy field that is monitored by advanced races to keep people from Earth from going out and mucking everything up out there. If they want to play among the stars and be invited to join a galactic alliance of worlds, Earth people have to grow up, work with each other, drop their fear. They have to be helped through this, obviously, or they're not going to make it. And then Earth can be invited to join. That means we have the advantage of the technology, cures for diseases, turn on the genomes, live 2,000 years, not overpopulate anymore, start thinking and being balanced as beings. And this cannot happen on a world like this without the help of beings from elsewhere. We're going to need their help. That's it. There's no way people on Earth are going to make this transition to a harmonious world on their own. They're too far shut down from being aware. They first need to recover true free will because they don't have that right now. I'm speaking of the masses of people, the governments, the religious leaders, they're all closed down to some degree. The biggest problem is that the faith and belief systems of this planet exist only on this planet. They don't exist in other worlds. So, and they're more advanced. They know what this omnipresent power is behind everything. Far more than Earth people do with just their belief. They know. They can share that knowingness with people on Earth and help them to know as well. Fear is an artificially created emotion implanted in people. It goes back in galactic history. That can be neutralized. That can be removed. It can be replaced with an innate wisdom to be a co-creator with the source behind all life and start taking on the responsibility to be caretakers and custodians of life on a planet like Earth. That's first. People have to take on the benevolent responsibility to care for life, not just talk a bunch of words about it, actually live it from the core of their being outward. And this means they have to change in significant ways from the way they think now. Things are underway to create that cannot be reversed by anybody on Earth. And it's coming our way. I want to share that with people and all people. This video, because it's public, I'm sure there's the most highly classified people on this earth that will be listening to this. They're not going to be able to find out who and what I am by looking at me on Earth because I'm not from here. And they can't find that history looking at Scott on Earth. They're going to have to go deeper into their own hidden truth in themselves to see that. In that process, people let go of fear. When we go on one of these journeys, I'll send out the hue on different tone levels, which I'm going to do now. And let me just state, too, that there's a few people being prepared on this earth to donate what you would consider to be sizable amount of money or funds to this work. But that's because they're being prepared and worked with by master teachers outside of Earth's atmosphere right now to give them the courage. It isn't to take all their money and send it my way. No, a small percentage of what they own. And that helps them get free of being trapped by the power and position and money they have, so they can be free to traverse beyond this earth before they die. This gives them freedom. So there are several people, maybe one, maybe two, that will contact me at some point to help support this work, who are being shown just how wide and deep this work goes and what it is. If Thai people start it by donating, this is a good thing, but it won't end with just Thai people. They get to be boots on the ground to start something, which is great because it helps them advance. It helps them progress. It gives them the opportunity to experience more. And right now, they've had to put my books under their covers, their pillows at night, because most of them don't read English. And they've been getting it. When they leave their body at night and put the body to sleep, they're brought before beings outside of Earth's atmosphere, literally, and they can be talked with in every language on Earth. And in that state, when they're out of their body that's kept in the sleep state or trance state called sleep back on Earth, they have the ability to understand any language. So they can actually see the Savior's agenda and the techniques. And what we're working on now is to get a book translated professionally at the highest level from English into Thai. And the Savior's agenda will be the first book because it has the techniques in the back. They're so important. So this will help people in Thailand, but it will also help people all over the world because it's going to be translated into Japanese and Spanish as well. The funds have never been the problem. Having enough money has never been the problem. The hue, the omnipresent energy behind all life, is really, money is another form of it. And it's being hoarded and misused and clung to all over the world in wrong ways. So the world doesn't really change. I can say this, things are underway now that are coming through this solar system to this Earth that will change all that. And this means beings who have it need to be set more free than they are now. They need to be more enlightened than they know now. So they will utilize the great gifts of what they have accumulated in some small ways to benefit not only themselves and their families, but all life on this planet and life on other worlds as well. I ask people to close their eyes. Why? Because when you shut your physical eyes off, it turns off the brain, a large part of it. Doesn't harm anything, but it means you're not letting light and visual and perceptics and frequencies and stuff that's in the atmosphere of Earth into you. And when you close your eyes, an inner vision begins to open up. And so with these guided sessions, I will begin by sending out the hue that will connect us to a number of different realities, higher dimensions. Always it is taken beyond the void into the highest reality, what we call the ocean of sound and light. Supreme being, source, prime creator, whatever you wish to call it. Because we're connected to all of that anyway, these journeys are about recovering the awareness of it. Imagine someone you love and respect, you're grateful they are in your life, a person, place, or thing, but make certain it is genuine. Meaning, when you think of this person, place, or thing, makes you smile inside like a child. Childlike wonder. It just makes you happy. It could be a hummingbird or a waterfall or a baby or a dog or a cat or a loved one or a redwood forest or dolphins and whales, whatever. That begins to open a door through the pineal gland in the center of the brain. That means an energy from you, the white core of your being, as a spherical atma. It has structure. Perry's shown it to people. It was created through me to show people what the solar atma really looks like. It has structure. All the spectrum of color of the rainbow. A violet exterior and a golden halo around it. And these all have little teardrops in the different levels that are different faculties of being. That is what was made in the image of God, not one of these. There are beings out there that aren't even human, far more evolved than people and are spiritually, mentally, emotionally, in every way. If people on Earth want to emulate or acquire these higher realities within themselves, they have to learn how to respect all life. You cannot do that by just respecting a little bit of life on Earth and expecting God to take you to some heaven, as you just go there and muck it up. You cannot go to higher realities like a spoiled child and expect to be given eternity in some paradise. We have to be able to earn it. We have to be able to be trusted with it first. I'll begin those tones now. We'll go on a journey. What is being done when I send out the hue in this way is telepathic. It is not psychic, meaning psychic energies work with the dual current of the lower worlds of time and space, positive and negative. The hue, the pure hue itself, is behind all that, supporting that. But it is not either. It is one pure energy, conscious, omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, behind everything, supporting all things. It is non-nuclear, it is non-atomic. It is not made of molecules or atoms. It is not DNA. It is the energy behind all that that supports everything. And so I send the hues out in these different dimensions to connect them so we can go on journeys to various places. We create a conduit or a doorway in the pure hue, which has no limits of the speed of light whatsoever. And then we go on journeys to explore and recover what we once knew. And we're made to forget for one reason or another. Imagine you are near the ceiling of your home where you live. This is just daydreaming like you do every day without any effort, without thinking about it. And imagine what it's like to look down on your body, sitting there in a chair, with the eyes closed, or lying down. Just imagine this perspective of seeing your body separate from who you are. Then imagine being up in the atmosphere, a mile up, just a mile. And you're overseeing the city where you live. If it's nighttime, you're seeing it lit up like daylight, because you, as the spherical Atma, light up all matter. Then imagine being in outer space, outside of Earth's negative atmosphere. It's a beautiful planet, but the frequencies of thought and emotion contained in it are negative, mostly. So we work outside of Earth, in space, and we are in a circle. All of us, Perry and myself, are in a circle around a friend of mine who is a Say-Rays being. His name is Ambassador Torrellian, and when he had a physical body, it was 18 feet tall. And it was stationed on a world over 1 billion years ago. The Say-Rays immortalized their physical bodies in a very special way. They dematerialized the DNA structure that programmed the way they looked and the way they were, and stored it in one of the teardrops of one of the layers that surround the white core of their being as a spherical Atma. They became pure energy. So he's showing all of you his 18-foot tall body. He looks like a Greek god, about 36, with long, slightly wavy blonde hair to his shoulders and big crystal blue eyes, single gown to his bare feet. He's standing in the center as a focal point for us, a focus point, so that our imagination stays focused on that which will be uplifting and beneficial to us. The universe is a vast place. Multi-dimensions of matter exist in the physical universe alone before you get to the emotional or astral plane, the next major division upward. And so there are trillions of worlds that you can get lost playing in and get sidetracked and never gain any real growth or awaken during this lifetime. So these journeys are highly focused events. They are about having and experiencing direct perception and direct knowing perception that comes from being in the experiences, not believing in them, being in them. You can see the Earth with its polar ice caps and the barren moon pockmarked with craters from meteor. You can see that the moon does not turn on its axis at all. It moves around the Earth, always showing us the same face. This is not normal, and it is not natural. For any moon to not move on its axis with the influence of Earth's gravity, the sun, and other planets is literally impossible. For it not to move whatsoever. Something had altered it to do what it does now, and it's not meant to stay that way. But you can see the moon and the sun, the yellow sun in the distance. And when you look at space now, you see a white golden light, very fine, filling all that void of space between the Earth, the moon, and the sun. The billions of stars in the Milky Way that you can see outside of Earth's atmosphere surrounding Torrellian. And you can see big, giant, blue, hot, white young stars, and big suns, yellow like our sun, but much bigger, and great big red giants and little red dwarf stars. So there's red and blue and white and gold out there all over the place. But the energy between these things and between the Milky Way and the Andromeda Galaxy, our nearest neighbor, and all the other galaxies, appears to be this black void in Hubble Space Telescope images. It appears to be some kind of a black void of some kind because human eyes cannot see into a high enough frequency to see what it really is. Electronic instruments can detect it and interpret it as color and show it to you in printouts. It is a white golden field of light, what we call toroidal or 0-point energy. It is an omnipresent living power and not understood on Earth by anyone practically. And yet by many races among the stars, they understand how to communicate with it, how to be in contact with it, how to channel it through their devices to power craft, etc. On Earth, certain classified people know that 0-point or toroidal energy is a secret to antigravitic propulsion and to moving between dimensions. They know this. Very highly classified. This too will have to be disclosed to the people of Earth. If the people on Earth think they're going to go play in rocket ships out among the stars fighting for the spoils of other people's territory, they are in for a world of hurt. Because space, as a matter of fact, is already occupied by far more advanced races. We will never be given the right to do that kind of nonsense. If Earth people want to play among the stars, they're going to have to join in a much greater organization of world systems, or they will be quarantined, as they are now. Somebody has an anti-reverse gravitic engine, some kind on Earth, triangular or otherwise, and they're playing around with it between a few planets in the solar system. They cannot use them to traverse to other star systems. That requires the understanding of circumnavigating the greater universe, and it requires the understanding of parallel dimensions in order to traverse those great distances. And you have to know where those doorways are. You have to know how to map them out, or you're stuck. This kind of sharing of technology and the wisdom that goes with it can be provided for free at no charge to people on Earth. And one day it will be, when people on Earth can respect life in other worlds and each other enough to deserve it. Not before. So much change has to happen on this planet before Earth's people can be met by vast numbers of beings, kind and wondrous from other worlds. Out here in space, you can see that Turellian is standing in the center of all of us. And Perry and myself, Perry's kind of over here in the circle. There's Turellian, and I'm next to Turellian, and there's some people around us that were invited that aren't just the two of us on the radio show. They're master teachers. Some of them are Galactic Alliance personnel who leave their bodies aboard their 30-foot wide diameter scout craft. 3 couples run it, 2 couples, usually a male and a female, leave their bodies, put it in a trance state called sleep, and they hover with us in the Atma true form. And they help to keep whoever goes on this journey, whoever plays this recording later, it will help to keep their fears, subconscious drives turned off while they go on the journey so they can gain real benefit. There are men and women standing next to each of you who are on this journey, and there will be one standing next to you, both male and female, about 36, humans from other worlds for the most part. And so when you go on the journey, you're going to find that they are there, helping you remember what you were made to forget. There's a master teacher named Ramu who looks to be about 36 on the circle on the far side of Turellian towards the earth. He's holding a crystal staff in his hand. And it's made of quartz, has a cross on the top with an oval hole with a hole in it, which is an ankh in ancient Egyptian history. And it is a device, it's his trademark as a master teacher. But it also serves a function. 2 other crystals are brought together and locked into the eye. And that staff is given to a student who's prepared, and they are taken, transported directly to the realm of the source or prime creator, far above the void, far up into the higher realities. and they become a master teacher in their own right. To the right of us in the circle is a master teacher named Opelum. And he's about 6 foot tall with jet black, smooth, shiny hair to his shoulders, emerald green eyes, slightly pointed ears like an elf, slightly. And he's showing you his hands open because they have little webs between them, little gill slits under his neck, high up under his chin. You wouldn't notice unless he lifted his chin. This is a human, very advanced. He's a master teacher. He comes from a planet called Oceania, which is on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy in the third higher parallel dimension of the physical universe. A real world, solid as Earth, but in a higher molecular time rate. You have to go, for instance, if a ship were to raise its gravitic field, anti-gravitic field, if its energy field were charged higher, it would disappear from Earth and become visible to beings on the next dimension, parallel dimension. And if they raised it again, they become part of the third one. Then they travel to planets in that one. That's where Oceania is. Mostly water-covered world. It's 4 times bigger than Earth. Has 3 Earth-sized moons, fully oxygen atmospheres, no polar ice caps, and dome cities and people living on them. That planet, you can see it when you're out in space around Turelian because he's showing it to you. Right in space, you can see that that planet and its 3 moons circle a trinary sun system. This means there's a big white, blue, hot, giant young star, then a bigger one, much bigger than Earth, 10 times bigger than Earth, yellow sun circling it, and out further, what's called a red dwarf, a much older sun that's expending its energy. It could be around for another billion years. So this planetary system circles a trinary sun system, thus no polar ice caps. The Oceanian people live on and in domed cities. They are situated in clearings on 2 fairly large islands around the equator, and the rest of the water, ocean, the world is ocean covered. Their cities are connected by clear transport tubes that connect to the bottom of the Oceanian oceans. This is where Etta and Din come from, that are in the Emerald Doorway, Guardians of the Ancient One, and Journey to the Center of the Universe books that were published this year. All 4 books are now published. Those are designed to be feature films. The screenplays are written for all of them. There's much more to this than just books you now are aware of. In working with beings like Turelian, who's standing in the center of all of us, you'll notice that each of you has a body made of energy that looks just like you, about 36, flawless, handsome, beautiful, nicely dressed, trim. And above each of those forms you're showing each of us is a spherical energy being. That's the real you. That is the Atma. That is soul. And so you're showing, and you have the ability to show others, what you really look like in pure energy form, a true form of a human physical form made of energy that looks physical, but it is pure energy. Just outside the atmosphere of Earth, we can experience the nature of the omnipresent, I don't want to use the word eternal, but it is, omnipresent, living, conscious, one power, one energy that supports all life, that all things float in it. The white golden light that's around us is below our feet. It's between Turelian and each one of you. It's between Ramu and Opelum. It's between Etta and Din, who are Dren, silica-based people. They're about 3 feet long, hovering to the left and right shoulder of Turelian, and a spherical atma hovering above that. They're silica-based DNA, not carbon like Earth people. Their tail, from the root to its tip, is glowing like crystal opal in bright sunlight, and they're hovering in the air. They have a long snout and big bulbous blue eyes. They're cute as a bug and a rug, courageous to a fault, and they are both master teachers, but they are not human. They are not from Earth. They are from planet Oceania, where Opelum comes from, and they evolved in huge volcanic, emptied out chutes that were drained of volcanic matter many hundreds of millions of years ago. and evolved in natural ecosystems within those chambers, the bottom of the Oceanian Ocean. There are two basic symbiotic species there, the Oceanians, human, and the Drens, who are not human. The Drens are telepathic. They have photographic memories, beautiful vocal cords. They sing. They can walk and run on all fours or levitate and fly through the air. They are a natural, organic, anti-gravitic creature. They have dexterous fingers and hands and toes like a human, but they are not human. I don't want to say they look like a salamander, but they're like, no, 3 feet long from the tip of their nose and their long jaw to the tip of their tail. That is strong of build, strong legs. Din, his wife, has more feminine features, a little thinner with bigger eyelashes. Otherwise, they have little holes for earlobes. They are not lizards. They're not reptilian. They're quite different from any of that. And they are master teachers, but not human. So you're being introduced to these beings outside of Earth's atmosphere for your benefit. All you have to do is be fearless. All you have to do is show a little backbone. All you have to do is be a bit courageous. Go ahead and let the protected experience dwell within you. When you look at the planet Earth, you can see there's polar ice caps in the oceans and continents that we're all familiar with, the barren moon, and then suddenly you look like you're looking at a heat wave in a desert, and it changes, and Earth in the same place now has no polar ice caps. The moon has got a full oxygen atmosphere and domed cities on its surface, and clouds and rain and little lakes and rivers. It's turning on its axis, moving around the Earth. There is one big continent centered over the equator from the left to the right hemisphere, and it continues down towards the South Pole about a third of the way up of it and continues to the right hemisphere. And then it goes up towards the North Pole about a third below it and down to the Western hemisphere. You can see through the planet and see there's a big continent, 2/3 its size, centered over the equator, which is Atla or Atlantis. Now, this is a Lemurian Atlantis that never sank, never had the poles change, like it happened 100,000 years ago on the Earth you're familiar with, where it did happen. And this is a protected Earth. It's in the third higher parallel dimension above the physical universe, just like where Oceania is. And it is manned by a few people from the Galactic Alliance, from the Sayres race, Torellians people, were 18 to 25 feet tall. They were giant humans around many millions of years ago, and then they vanished from creation to see what beings would do with the uplifting genetic uplift they brought to many races among the stars. They brought them up to spacefaring capability and then backed away. They've recently returned. Sayres ambassador Torellian is introduced to people on Earth for the first time in part of the Sayres Agenda book. How he first appeared to the Galactic Alliance Council on the central governing homeworld of Zetanami 1 near the galactic core of the Milky Way galaxy, and how that appearance is affecting life on Earth today differently than it ever has before. Torellian is a man of few words. He is more of someone who demonstrates enlightenment by direct experience. So when he shares higher awareness with you, it's telepathic so that you can see it holographically. You can see it in 3 dimensions. You can see the Earth, no polar ice caps. And you look down on that continent, and down near the South Pole, a third of the way above it, you see a curved, upward curving, half moon base shaped, glowing emerald green beach. You can see it from space. And it's drawing you. So Torellian and all of us circling around him, and Seta and Din and Master Ramu and Opelum, and other master teachers I have not taken time to describe are moving like planets around the sun down into Earth's atmosphere until you come out and you realize you're hovering above this emerald green glowing sand, big mile-long curved beach. And Terrellian's standing up to his 18-foot tall knees in this emerald green, blue-green glowing water. And there's a jungle forest behind this curve, and we're all aligned on this beach. And there's a brown moss-covered path right in the center of the forest, cut through it like a straight road that continues to wind up the lower elevations of a single snow-capped mountain. And to the left is a huge clear dome city covering a little emerald green lake, little ivory white walking paths, little dome structures, and in the back side to the left, 3 golden-sided, quartz-capped, and gold-crowned pyramids, and a long ivory dome-colored, looks like moonstone, building between the pyramids at their base. When you look at Terrellian, he points upward. You can see that the energy around us, the atmosphere here, has no negative nature. It's glowing. When you look, he points down to the ocean, you realize that the ocean water is actually charged and glowing. You look down and your bare feet are wiggling your toes in emerald green glowing sand. It's glowing a foot above the sand. You reach down and pick up a handful of these little emeralds, and they're round, polished, pure emerald crystals glowing. They dissolve in your hand, which is pure energy, looks human, goes up through the top of your head. You look up smiling, and it goes into the white core of the center of the sphere of your being and is distributed out amongst the layers. It's green because it has to do with a kind of abundance healing. It has to do with remembering your lives in the lower worlds of time and space. It has to do with confronting and letting go of the fear and trauma you had in other lives where you were killed. It gives you the peace and tranquility and a wisdom to confront such things and put them aside as memory only, so that what you knew before you were closed down surfaces. And so this is a gift. When you look at this dome city at the western base of one single snow-capped mountain, you look up and you see that there is a waterfall cascading out of a cavernous opening, oval, 2/3 the way towards the summit. And it's pouring down this cliff face several miles straight down, and it disappears behind a blue-green forest that surrounds the backside of this dome. It's huge. It eventually winds its way down the mountainside and lower plateaus to empty into that bay, that half-moon-shaped bay further down the beach. There's a river that empties into the ocean. When you look down this moss-covered path between the trees, it goes straight as an arrow up the mountainside to this dome city. You can see that about 2 miles inland, there's a clearing, and suddenly we're hovering above it, and you look down and you see the statue of a woman, 10 feet tall, made of quartz crystal, polished. She has her 2 hands up, and there's a glowing energy around her palms. There's a gold band around her forehead and 1 faceted teardrop-shaped emerald crystal. She's beautiful. Longer neck, longer fingers, longer body. She's 10 feet tall with silver-like hair and violet-colored eyes. She's actually charging that beach. This is a device. It was a gift from people on another world in our Milky Way galaxy. And when you look in the face of this woman, you realize that there is a woman standing inside this quartz in some kind of a green atmosphere. And she's alive. And we find ourselves suddenly in this huge atmosphere of green light, and she's standing in bare feet with an elegant gown, with her hands up. And we are witnessing the being, and beside her is her mate, a male a little taller. They have longer necks and longer fingers, but they are humanoid. And they are from a planet. They're showing you now in this green atmosphere. It's bigger than Earth, 4 times bigger, like Oceania. has 3 moons, and it too circles a trinary sun system. It is on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy in our parallel dimension, the one where you're familiar with Earth. They have dome cities on that planet, numbers of little oceans and land masses, and no polar ice caps. This man and this woman are showing you a body, form, and energy they have on that planet that are over 3.5 million years old, unaged. A different type of immortalization of a physical form. They do this for a purpose. It's not selfish. So this is the source of the green light in that beach. Ambassador Trellian and others from the Galactic Alliance are people that are the personnel within that domed city. It's not overpopulated. There's no negative fear or thought in the atmosphere of this world. It's protected. This planet Earth, free of negative things in the atmosphere, and the living moon that circles it, is a prototype. And it will be utilized at some point to make the moon that circles our Earth a duplicate. This has been being prepared for quite some time. So we brought you to an Earth that's in a higher parallel dimension so you can experience what's around you that you normally do not perceive. If you raise your vibration, if you leave your body, you can go back to this green beach, you can talk with this woman, you can go visit people in that dome city. If you look at this waterfall coming out of the cavern opening, above it is another oval tunnel and circular domed lights leading down into the interior. That is a interdimensional tunnel between this reality on Earth, this higher parallel dimension, the green beach, and the interior of a hollowed out section of the Mount Shasta in Northern California. It is in a higher frequency. It has been established there since 1908 and is manned by Galactic Alliance personnel. And it is they who have prevented planet Earth from destroying itself in nuclear war. If they weren't here, we would all be gone. If we move with Terrellian from above the statue of this woman, and we move up to that waterfall, see it roaring, it's luminous, it's got an algae and it's got a mineral in it that glows, self-luminous. We're going to go into this tunnel. So we're circling around Terrellian, and Ramu, and Etta, and Din, and Opelum, and we're going through this tunnel. And as we go down it, we see that it's an oval-shaped, clear glass-like tube with lights on the ceiling, and we're spiraling down inside the mountain until we come out of an opening into a huge, hollowed-out, tall, dome-shaped interior. It has a golden quartz-like floor, foot-thick glowing, and on the walls in different pockets are these huge emerald and other crystals, growths that were left there for the aesthetic beauty of the people who created this interior in the extinct volcano of Mount Shasta. On the far end of this chamber, there are dome lights and a circular pattern on the ceiling, and it looks like there's 2 half circles, domed doors that open in the mountain to give access to outside in the extinct glacier-covered caldera. And there's an octagon-shaped building 5 stories high. It has little curved clear glass windows, convexly outward. And you can see a ship hovering with an electromagnetic blue light around it, about 300 feet long. It's cigar-shaped, flattened on top, and there's little portal windows around it. There's a bridge control on one end and another one identical to it on the other. And there in the center of the ship is a triangular clear walkway that connects to the middle of 5 floors. And there are people walking back and forth from the ship to the interior of this administration building. You can see people working on different levels in front of computer-type holographic projection screens. And they look human. Some have snake-like skin, others blue skin, green skin, different colored hair. They are from members of the Galactic Alliance. The husband and wife commanders of this base are approaching us walking on the floor. so that all of us are standing as if in physical bodies, which they can see. The spherical part of us hovering above them, Turellian standing taller than anyone, and they approach and nod their head, raise their right hand. And they welcomed you to one of their bases on Earth that are always positioned in a slightly higher parallel dimension to keep them safe from radar or any detection, so they can do their work. And they're welcoming you to this Galactic Alliance base. You can read more about how that base works and who these beings are in the Sayre's Agenda book. It'll become apparent to all of you when you really know that book, how it became called the Sayre's Agenda, because it's, after all, out of respect to Ambassador Trelling and the Sayre's race and who they are. They are the most ancient human race, much taller than Earth humans, many billions of years old, did not originate in the Milky Way galaxy. They come from a galaxy very far away, beyond Andromeda. They were responsible for bringing genetic forms, whether it be reptilian or greys or Pashats, which are lion-like people, or humans of many different shades and colors and forms, on many world systems up to spacefaring capability before they vanished. Their return marks a great turning point for affairs in our galaxy. You're going to look up at this ceiling and see these dome lights, and then these two semicircular flat doors open inside the mountain, and you can see the stars at night above Mount Shasta, the Mount Shasta caldera. You're going to see a big ship about 100 feet across come down through the opening, 3 semispheric pods in the bottom, saucer shape, glowing with a thin blue antigravitic light, comes down and lands on the floor. A sliding walkway comes down. A doorway appears and widens into an oval. And 4 men and 4 women walk down the ramp and over to us, and they report to the commanders of the base. And they are from the Galactic Alliance Council. The Galactic Alliance Council is located on planet Zentarnami 1. It's near the galactic core of the Milky Way, not in it, near it. And then you find yourself moving up through the opening, heading into the stars. And you look down and you can see the opening, the ship on the ground, the commanders of the base, that huge interior, hollowed out interior, the command building, the cigar-shaped ship, 300 feet long. And then you can see the snow-covered caldera, and these doors close. And what you see now is a glacier-covered caldera. And then suddenly you realize you are on space. You are around Turellian. There's Ramu and Opelum, Etta and Din. Galactic Alliance personnel, men and women, about 36, standing beside each of you, helping you. And you look at Earth and you realize it's the Earth you're familiar with. It has polar ice caps. It has a barren moon, the sun in the distance. But the light around you and under your feet, surrounding you, up above you, out in space, between Andromeda and Milky Way, down below you and through all the stars is a white golden light. That is the hue, the omnipresent, intelligent, one power, living energy that is non-nuclear, non-atomic in nature, not made of atoms, that is the energy behind time-space elements. And then you realize you are looking at your body from the ceiling where you live. And all you're doing is allowing the memory of this journey to be stored in the toroidal electromagnetic field that surrounds you, a spherical being hovering near the ceiling. The same kind of field surrounds your physical body. And you're storing in that field, not in your brain, the memory of this journey and into the field around your physical body. And then the energy moves through that toroidal field, out through the walls of where you live, and it connects to 3 pyramids, 2 on the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans, and 1 in a hollowed out interior of a mountain in the Himalayas. There is a fountain with an image of Sat Nam, and he is a being that runs the Atma plane, the first plane above the void. And it's a statue of a gold bronze colored kind of man, about 36, with 2 gold bracelets on his upper arms, a little white tunic dress from his waist down to his ankles, bare chested, strong of build, and his hands are down at his sides. And from his hands is a golden white shaft of light coming through his head, goes through his hands, and radiates out through these pyramids. It's moving down into the core of Earth and out into space. It connects to a similar device inside a pyramid, much larger, stationed between 2 stationary asteroids in the asteroid field that circles in the orbit of a planet between Mars and Jupiter. And then it goes out to even bigger pyramids stationed between individual stars. It eventually gets back to the white shaft of gold light that is the core of the Milky Way galaxy. And it goes back up to source. This gives you an understanding of how the hue moves through all things and supports all things, including you. So when you're ready, open your eyes.
Wow, thank you, Scott. And this green energy is really help for remembering. Many Thai people experience this and really change their life. Some people, they don't understand why life is suffering, why the family members behave to them like this. So once they have come to realize what happened before in the many lifetimes ago, so they accept it, and happy ending, I would say.
At paralleltime.com, in the video, I'll give you the 4 addresses of all 4 websites. There's a donation button on all of them. You can, if you're inspired to contribute to help change this world, to be part of the vast order of beings that are involved in this process we call disclosure, then you can be motivated in a balanced way to donate towards this work if you wish. There are beings listening to this journey or will hear this recording who are on the journey with us. They're going to be donating quite sizable sums of funds to this endeavor. It's not going to hurt them. They have much more than they're giving, but it will benefit them greatly to set them free from being stuck in the illusion that they're a body or that they're power and money, none of which they can take with them, and they all know it. So there is a healing that can go on in this process for their benefits. I'll make those addresses plain when I send the video to you, Perry, so you can put it up on your YouTube channel.
Yes, and then you can click under the video, the donation button. You can do it one time, or people can do it monthly.
It's up to them. It's completely.
Yes.
It has to do with what they're motivated to do, and that comes from when they're out of their bodies at night. They get worked with. They get helped. So they'll understand this. It becomes their own experience.
Yes. All of you should have your own direct experience, so you would understand and be part of this disclosure. I think you should be proud of, and life will change. Things will change permanently.
Well, as I always say to everybody, including you, Perry, happy trails, and I'll see you all lighter, as in less weight, more lightness.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, everyone, for watching. See you again next time.
Thank you, Perry, for having the courage to do this.
Okay.
Bye.